Thank you very much. So I've been waiting for this meeting for 20 years, actually.
The president taking aim at one of the world's most popular painkillers.
I think you shouldn't take it, and you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire, and you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol.
Flanked by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other administration officials, including Dr. Mehmet Oz, and two mothers, the president blamed Tylenol, also known as paracetamol, for an increased risk of autism in children when taken by pregnant women.
First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
The US Food and Drug Administration's own letter to doctors admitted a causal relationship has not been established between paracetamol and autism, but advised they should minimise use of the drug during pregnancy for routine low-grade fevers.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
TGA's advice to pregnant women regarding paracetamol is that it is safe to use, that it has no identified proven effects on the outcome of your unborn baby.
Professor Robin Langham is the TGA's Chief Medical Advisor.
The TGA is like any other good, robust products regulator, and that is if we see a signal, if we hear of a signal, if we hear of concerns, then absolutely we'll be undertaking an evaluation and we will be looking at all of the evidence. But the work that's been done to date would indicate that there is no need to change any of the indications.
Donald Trump and the FDA are relying on a range of studies that show an association between paracetamol and autism, including one published in August by Harvard University and Mount Sinai Hospital.
That systematic review reviewed 46 separate studies, 6 of which were specifically related to autism outcome. It's important to note that none of these studies established a cause and effect relationship between paracetamol use and autism, but did identify an association. But it's important, I think, in thinking about the results of these studies to perhaps dig a bit deeper.
Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition that affects how people interact with others and how they communicate, learn and behave. Alison Lane is the director of the Olga Tennyson Autism Research Centre. She says a study of more than 2.5 million mothers last year in Sweden couldn't determine a causal link between paracetamol and autism.
So it controlled for family history of autism, and it found that there were no differences between the mothers that had paracetamol during pregnancy and those who didn't in terms of the rate of autism when you control for those family factors.
The comments by Donald Trump and RFK Jr. at the press conference overnight, we do worry it could have an effect for pregnant women in the US.
Judy Stenmark represents the industry body for non-prescription medications, including paracetamol, in Australia.
For the management of pain and fever during pregnancy, the advice in Australia today is that paracetamol is the only safe option.
The President advised pregnant women to take paracetamol as a last resort.
That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it.
Well, at the risk of sounding political, I think it's an outrageous thing to say, and it's not based on any evidence at all, and there is no reason for women to tough it out, and it can have serious consequences.
She says the consequences of not treating a high fever while pregnant could be fatal.
The main thing is that it could lead to miscarriage or stillbirth. Those small associations, very small or weak associations that have been found in some studies is not enough, or it should not be enough, for the FDA and the President of the United States to say women should tough it out.
This kind of announcement presents not just a negative view of autism, but the idea that, this is something that can be prevented and avoided.
Professor Andrew Whitehouse specialises in autism research in Perth.
I've already had families contacting me, expressing their shock and their worry that something they have done during their pregnancy might have gone on to cause some of the struggles that their precious child experiences.
He says autism is complex and genetics play a role.
Autism is a condition that attracts all sorts of conspiracy theories. I think that's in large part because there is so much we don't yet know about the exact causes of why an individual goes on to develop autism. There's a lot of information about the genetics and about the brain that we don't yet know and haven't been able to disentangle as to why an individual child goes on to develop autism.
Shares for the company Kenvue, the maker behind Tylenol, have plunged. There are now fears pregnant women in Australia will choose not to take paracetamol.
Yes, we do worry that people will not keep taking their medications or their over-the-counter medications as advised by their doctor or their pharmacist. So it is a worry, and that's why people should be very careful about what they say and should wait until we have evidence, one way or another, about any issue, any health issue.